Hello, boils and ghouls, and welcome to Nick and Matt Get Goosebumps. I'm Matt.
And I'm Nick, the guy that you don't introduce to your friends because he's just too cool.
Did somebody say that to you?
Let's move on.
Okay. In this episode of Nick and Matt Get Goosebumps, we are going to be talking about book number 8, The Girl Who Cried Monster. We will, each of us be getting goosebumps, Nick, I imagine.
I mean, I kind of have them right now, but that's just because I took a drink of my drink and it was cold.
All right, well, this is still a one way to get the goosebumps. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Oh, yes.
In Canada.
Happy Turkey Day. It's
Except...
too bad there was not a Thanksgiving-themed Goosebumps book that we could have read.
Was there? Is there?
I don't know.
I don't know.
My guess would go right to Chicken, but that's just because chicken's in the title.
You don't eat chicken for Thanksgiving. Have you
Some
not
people
seen
do.
the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving special?
You're right. I'm sorry. We eat toast and jelly beans and popcorn.
And there's no parents around.
No, there never is, except for when they go to grandmother's house.
Very depressing.
Over the mountains and through the woods
to grandmother's house we go. I don't know the rest of the words. Nick, you want to talk about the cover of this book?
Yeah.
Or you don't?
Well, we have to, don't we?
Yep, it's a requirement. We've done it.
But don't we start with spooky facts first, Matthew?
Well, it's a
dry week.
I have one spooky fact, but I want to save it for
Okay.
after this cover discussion. This cover, once again, by the one, the only Tim Jacobus. Or Jacobus, however you like. Nick.
Until he corrects us. We're going to pronounce it differently every episode.
There's only 2 ways.
We can come up with more.
Okay. I believe in us. So this girl on the front of the cover, is she Lucy?
I have to imagine she is Lucy, yes.
Did Jacobus not even read the first page of this book? Lucy has black hair.
Oh God, does she?
Yeah, this girl has like a dirty blonde hair.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to hair color in this book. I don't pay attention to those details. If it's on the cover, that's how it goes.
Also, the librarian was never described as wearing a tie. He was always wearing turtlenecks. He fancied brightly colored turtlenecks.
No, he wore one turtleneck towards the end.
And one early on.
He was wearing sports shirts.
That was towards the end.
Okay.
I wrote down every turtleneck he wore, and he never wore a tie.
Seems kind of obsessive.
Well, you know, I'm an obsessive kind of guy.
Okay.
So, apart from the inaccuracies displayed on this book,
Jesus Christ.
Nick, I like this cover.
It's a good cover, Brent.
It's the lighting,
I like the red.
The red, there's only a little bit of it, but I like it too.
No, because it's in the background. It's all purple, but she's standing in front of it, and she's wearing a blue top, and it's the red, at least from what I can see by candlelight here.
Yeah, he managed to paint a picture of this monster librarian, looking pretty monstrous, but still being a human being.
I guess.
Would you have rather him painted it as the way Lucy sees him?
Yeah, because then I would understand what it's supposed to look like.
It was a weird description.
Didn't get the description.
All right, well, we'll get to it. I think
Although, full disclosure, I was pretty drunk when I was reading this book.
How do you read your Goosebumps books, Nick?
Drunk.
Because I read them very secretively.
I drink them out in the open. No, I read them. I go places and I sit there and I read, and no one approaches me.
Is that by choice? Is that
I don't put up a sign saying "Don't approach me."
Well,
if anything, I would imagine a Goosebumps book in this day and age would be a conversation starter. It's not, Matthew. It's not.
Well, we're trying to make it into a conversation starter. So
we're failing, Matthew.
We are failing. All right, let's move into spooky facts, Nick. It's something you've loved since the dawn of time. You've loved your spooky facts. Yeah. Let's get into those spooky facts, Nick. Okay. I hope that you are prepared for the onslaught of facts that I have to throw at you here.
Oh, I am ready.
One fact. Mr. Mortman, his turtle-eating fetish, originally a child-eating fetish. What do you say to that, sir?
Wait, what?
Because he loved eating turtles so much?
He ate the turtles?
Did you even read this book?
I know he ate the flies. I know he ate the fish. I thought he was feeding the flies to the turtles and himself. I thought they were like his little buddies.
Very
I thought he was a turtle man because he was wearing turtlenecks. I didn't know he ate the turtles.
Listen, Nick, nothing in this book is consistent. The only thing in this book that is consistent is anything moving he will eat. He ate the moths, he ate the fish, the snail, the flies, and most grotesquely, the turtles. You don't remember him putting the turtle in his mouth and cracking the shell?
I thought that was a snail.
That happened with the snail too, but the shells of the turtle were first.
Well, then they just blended into one for me.
That was the most horrifying.
Blended.
It's the most horrifying part for me, and you just drank your way through it.
Oh boy, no, Matthew, No. I'm just so desensitized that when something like that happens, I'm just like, yeah, and?
I eat turtles every day.
Soup!
Yeah. Anyway, the publisher thought that eating children is not child-friendly, and we don't want it.
We don't want your life.
So you change it, Stein. Stein, take your grotesque ideas and channel them somewhere else. Why don't you write a series of books for teenagers?
I would have imagined that, like, having him eat children would have been much more appropriate for a Goosebumps book. Not flies and turtles and things that humans eat.
He could have been a people eater.
One-eyed, one-horned, green, purple people eater. One-eyed, one-horned, green, purple people eater.
Well, Stein caved in. Stein just said, you know what?
Fuck
sure.
Fuck it! Got to make that paper.
Turtles it is, but if I'm putting turtles in, I'm describing that sickening crunch that happens when a live turtle is cracked in the jaws of a man.
Yeah.
So he did.
He did.
I would have liked to see it if he just had a bunch of... How would he have eaten children? How would Lucy have seen him
first
eat a child?
You gotta prepare the oven at about 350.
Monsters eat children raw, Nick. Come on. And that's it for the spooky facts. We got no more, Nick.
I thought you said there were a bunch.
No, I do that to hype you up. Because I like to see you
didn't work.
Deflate afterwards.
See how he treats me?
All right, so without further delay, Nick, are you ready to get those sick little bumps all over your skin?
Oh, yes.
All right. So, listener beware.
But before we begin, Matthew, I would like to introduce, I guess, a new segment.
Oh, really? This wasn't cleared by me.
I'm pretty sure we had this discussion.
Just as sure as you were that Mr. Mortman didn't eat turtles?
Just as sure as I was that Channing Tatum was a never back down. Guess what? He's not, and I lost $10.
Never bet against Channing Tatum.
I didn't! I was betting for Channing Tatum, and it turns out he betrayed me, Matthew. He betrayed me.
Channing Tatum owes you $10.
He owes me $10, that son of a bitch.
What's your new little segment here, Nick? Is it the Channing Tatum segment? Because it's going to get old real fast.
No, he'll stay forever young.
Okay.
We have a Twitter account.
What?
Yes, Matthew.
At Get Goosebumps?
At We Got Goosebumps, you fucking idiot.
Okay.
And we actually got some questions from our fan.
Oh, who? And what?
Here we go. It's the spooky mailbag. Ooh.
We'll work on it.
No, we won't. So, at Corbermite with a K says, question for the spooky mailbag. Now that you're several books in, do you think R.L. Stine has ever actually met a child?
Well, is that the end of the question?
That is the end of the question, yes.
I mean, he had a child, so I know he met that one. Although that child claimed to have never read any of his father's books.
Right.
Well,
I mean, I say right. I just learned this fact just now as you said it, but I believe it.
Yeah, I always hated that about Matt. He had the same name as me, but he never read one of his father's books, and I was like, what an ungrateful child.
Okay.
But
moving past.
But moving past this,
past
I have a lot of hate towards that kid.
I mean, Jesus Christ, Matthew.
I was like, people don't know what they got.
Stop it.
Okay. So do I think he's actually met a child?
I mean, based on all the descriptions and how they act, I'm going to go with no.
There's always a redhead.
There's always a redheaded bully.
I think he at least observes children from a distance. But has he ever spoken to one?
I think he probably has, but not at great length.
Okay, just enough to get a little bit of his good.
Just enough to be like, oh, you guys play stickball. No, but in all seriousness, I imagine he's met children. Don't be an idiot, Dan. And did you have anything else to add?
No, there was only one question.
No, there was another one.
Oh, okay, good. Go for it.
At Patrick Caldez says, if all of the supernatural junk wasn't targeted at kids but at adults, do you think they would fare better or worse? At which point, at Corbermite wanted clarification. Do you mean adults or XXX adults XXX? Because I'm sure there's fanfic about some really supernatural junk somewhere. And then Patrick clarified, Maybe with crippling depression.
It's just a conversation people are having?
Yes.
Are we involved in this in any way?
I mean, we did not respond, but we observed.
We observed and
Now we're
vaguely
reporting.
understood. I don't really understand the question.
Do you think the books would be better if the characters weren't children, but they were adults?
No.
No, because, I mean, I think that's what we have Stephen King for, right?
I mean, would the adults act exactly the same as these children? Would the only thing that's different...
I'd like to imagine that they are all, like, middle-aged people, but with the minds of the 12-year-olds.
Still living with their parents?
If their parents are still alive.
I think that would be very depressing.
Cripplingly so.
Yeah, no, I would not want to read that. I'd like to imagine that these children grow up to be at least somewhat functioning adults.
Well, yeah, in their own continuities, but, like...
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question, Patrick.
So, R.L. Stine, if you're out there and you're listening...
We're so sorry.
Rewrite all of these books.
We are so sorry.
No, man, rewrite all these books.
Robert, you gotta listen to us. Please don't.
To have them all
switch it off.
in their adult age. Reliving the same horrors of their youth.
Like in It?
Yes. Nick, are you ready to get some goosebumps?
Yeah, I guess.
Listener beware.
You're in for a scare. Whatever.
It's very optimistic, Nicholas.
Yeah.
We are introduced to Lucy Dark and her younger brother, Randy.
Now, first of all, what's her name?
First of all, Lucy.
No. Last name.
Dark.
Okay. Isn't that convenient?
It's convenient. It's, well, why? Tell me.
Lucy Dark? Is she Satan's daughter?
I don't know, man. It's a very common last name in Middle America.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I'm making it up.
How did you imagine Randy?
Would saying I imagined a little Austin Powers be weird to say? I imagine just a little man running around saying Shagadelic and yeah, baby, but also being 6.
I mean, if you went back in time 20 years, you'd probably see that.
Okay.
In backyards across America.
Yes.
When Austin Powers fever was sweeping the country.
Yeah. And to clarify, let me just say this is because one of Austin Powers' famous lines is, "Do I make you Randy?" And so having a child named Randy, instantly I associate him with Austin Powers. Nick, why do you ask this question?
Because I pictured him as the little fucker from from Tim Burton's terrible remake of Frankenweenie.
Okay.
At first.
Just a little black and white claymation man?
Yeah, it was all like creepy, like...
Okay. Yeah. I pictured, you know what, I kind of pictured him like a timid little squirrel. Because that's the way he was described.
I think we all know that squirrels are hell-bent on world domination.
Yeah, I suppose. Maybe more like a chipmunk then.
Oh, they just want to take over the rock world.
Yeah, they can have it. But let's talk about Randy for a second. He's described as being short. He's a little chubster. As
children do.
Yes, thank you, R.L. Stine. He's a little chubster, and he's pale. He's got black hair and long, luscious eyelashes. Lucy is mad jealous of those lashes, Nick.
Jealous.
Yeah, for she herself, born, sadly, with no eyelashes. No eyelids, even, to have them stem off of.
Wait, are you telling me she's some kind of monster?
Did you not read this book, Nick? She has only a thin filament over her eyes.
Fuck off.
And she has to moisten them with eye drops. It's her curse.
She has eyelids.
Yes, but no eyelashes, which is even worse.
She doesn't have eyelashes?
She was in a crib fire when she was a baby.
No, she wasn't. I would make a note of that. I was sober when I read the first 3 chapters. I was at work.
Full disclosure, Nick, she has eyelashes. They're fine eyelashes.
Jesus Christ,
eyelashes
Matthew.
That any 12-year-old girl should be proud to have.
Jesus, stop talking, Matthew.
Feel proud to have. Jesus.
Ladies and gentlemen, this podcast will now be renamed Exhibit A.
She's also got a straight nose, and her teeth don't stick out when she smiles.
Good for her.
Thank God.
Why, thank God?
She feels pretty down on herself because of the eyelashes. So at least she's making comparisons between her and her brother apparently has a crooked nose and his teeth stick out. But he's 6. He'll grow into all that nonsense. She's 12.
Okay.
So she's just looking for things to feel good about herself, okay? She's also short. She has jet black hair and is goddamn insane.
Yes. No. Okay, here's something I can get behind.
Yeah.
This bitch.
Yes, Nick.
Holy hell. She's a little monster.
Yes. She's obsessed. Obsessed with the monsters.
And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, even I was just like, Jesus Christ, Lucy.